See you. No.
I don't know. How?
Right.
No? Yeah, good luck with that. Oh,
What are you doing? For the truck?
What's the, it can be, the stuff. It's on there.
Why do you turn on the community calendar, like these meetings, like Richard 2K? Vice council meeting, February 25th and 26th.
Why are you asking us?
I mean, there's a Parks and Rec meeting on the 27th, that is not. What is this? What are you looking at? Calendar, first of all, when you open it up, it starts in December 1899. All the way to 2025, not on my view.
I don't know. Wait, did you say 99?
1899.
That was a good year. Thunder was there. I never need to turn the milk in the first place.
But no one needs to check.
Oh.
Yeah, that may be. There's been a lot of things we have to do and read you something. Yes.
Isn't that funny?
No, I just went to the link from the web, from the homepage. Like, so, yeah, mine looks perfect. Okay. This is our. Yeah, this is. Okay, I just refreshed it. Now we're on the right spot. So these like meetings are like spanning 2 days. I know. You guys got a lot to talk about.
She's got issues. Everybody's got issues right here. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, crap.
That's weird. Chat.
Oh, no, I like that. I like the builder.
Why didn't you do it?
Well, because it wouldn't have brought enough for the rest of us.
Please stop. Everybody.
Like me?
Yes. Everybody just follow suit.
Oh.
It's not.
Why are you yelling at each other?
That's just you. It was just you arguing. Bring me a bit back to the That's just you. Having your meltdown. For sure. All right, I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore? Here. Mrs. Thompson? Here. Mr. Gray?
Here.
Mr. Bittner,
Here.
Ms. Wong? Here. Mr. Lunder?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here. Approval of minutes from the regular meeting of council, January 28, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Motion approved.
Motion made by Mr. Bittner,
Second.
second by Mr. Lunder to approve. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore?
Abstain.
Mrs. Thompson?
Abstain.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Correspondence tonight. Clerk, do we have any correspondence this evening?
I do not.
Does any member of council have correspondence this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to administrative and department head reports. Mayor and Safety Director, Mr. Eva, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Johnson, members of council, the public here this evening. I would like to start out with a happy 70th wedding anniversary to Jean and Helen Ayers on Thunderbird Drive. I will drop off a proclamation for them on Friday, which is the 14th, which is their 70th wedding anniversary. So congratulations to them. Also received a letter from Pete and Karen Brooks. They're on Pinehurst Drive. Mayor Eva, it was with great pleasure that I'm writing you today. I found myself in an unfortunate situation with Home Depot and their product return process. I was not sure if I had fallen victim to a theft crime and was not getting any assistance from Home Depot. I found myself visiting the police department today, which was Wednesday, January 29th. And after explaining the situation to Chief Forsythe, he took matters into his own hands, and through his investigation, I am now getting attention from the Home Depot's trucking company. I wanted you to know that Chief Forsythe was the difference maker, and without his prompt action, I could have been out almost $800. My wife and I have made the city of Mount Arundel Lake our home for 39 years and appreciate all that you and your staff have done. The fire department report for January 2025, there were a total of 99 calls for service, 32 fire service calls, 67 rescue EMS calls. Of the 67 calls, 10 calls for invalid assist. There were no calls requiring Narcan. Department training for January, the EMS drills presented by UH Lake Health. The top was training on the new protocol app. Department shift drills during the month of January. EMS was department CPR renewal. Fire was garden apartment fire near miss incident, and hands-on training was apartment pack operations. Hood inspection was done at Angie's Pizza at 7875 Munson Road in January. In January, the department members were part of the Lake County Fire Investigation Unit, attended training. The department members were a part of the Lake County Hazard Intervention Team, attended training. Firefighter Clems and Firefighter Tennyson attended the self-contained breathing apparatus SCBA tech class and are now certified to maintain our SCBAs. Captain Campaign attended an Ohio Fire Incident Report System class taught by the State Fire Marshal Office. Through this class, Captain Campaign learned how to code incidents quickly and efficiently, as well as when each field should and should not be filled out and how to find information to put in the box. Congratulations to our members celebrating a service anniversary in January. Firefighter Heimberger, 31 years, Lieutenant Brown, 30 years. That concludes my report tonight.
Good, thank you. Administrative Director, Ms. Martin, good evening.
Good evening. We started transitioning to ADP payroll. That'll affect you eventually. The estimated kickoff is April 5th. So be prepared. You're going to get more information on that going forward. And then we have that zoning software that we implemented. We're 75% finished. It should be fully functional by April 1st is what we're estimating. And what's great about that is people, you'll have a link to go online, like the residents, and be able to fill out all their forms and pay and all that through that system. That'll be nice. And then we have selected a service person to add to our crew, and he's going through the hiring process now, and then we're looking to see if we can add one more.
Okay, thank you. Law Director, Mr. Dines, good evening.
Good evening, no report, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. We have our city engineer here tonight. Would you like to give whatever update you had?
Yes, sir, just a couple things, is we were, got to review a few site plans that were sent to us for different developments. The one in particular I wanted to talk about was Crane's Landing, one of the last parcels to be developed there. When we were reviewing it, we noticed some inconsistencies with the original subdivision plan. We reached out to Lake County Stormwater Management Department. One thing we were a little shocked to find out is the city has not been utilizing that staff to do their drainage reviews. So I think that will change going forward. You guys are paying your previous engineer to actually do those reviews. Well, I'm a very good steward of our money. I don't want to do if they need to do it when Lake County do it for free. So they're getting involved. They're going to try to resolve that with the developer. So that's an ongoing issue that hopefully we'll figure it out here shortly. The Southland Drive Drainage Improvement Project. That was one that was bid by the previous engineer last fall. We contacted the developer, or I'm sorry, the contractor, and we are working with them, get their schedule together and get that project going. So we'll be administering the department on that. So hopefully get a proposal. We got their schedule today, so hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have a proposal into the city of doing the construction and integration on that. And lastly, Overlook Beach Park, we'll have the rate plan submitted by the
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Fire Chief Pachasko, did you want to say anything now at this point or wait until the?
Good evening, Mr. President. I realize that I was not on the agenda, so I'll be very brief. Just a quick report. Last night, the department did respond to a garage fire on Anna. We were assisted by our auto companies and the garage sustained some major damage. However, nobody was injured. I am also here to answer any questions in regards to resolution number 2025-R-09 tonight. So when we get to that legislation, any questions, I'll be happy to do my best to answer. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you. Questions for the administration? Mrs. Thompson?
Do we have any update on the website design and layout and rollout?
I finished the site map, and then now we're at the stage where they're taking all the pages and transferring them over.
I have one for Chief. During that fire last night, who was the first department on scene?
We were,
Okay,
yeah,
because I think there was some confusion. Somebody heard that somebody was on a scanner and they heard that we were second ones there.
yeah, absolutely not. No, our crew was the first on scene for that fire.
Thank you.
Question for the chief. They rekindled and we had to go back in there, right?
Yes.
They were there for like 3-4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
but that happened, that kind of really took off again.
From the initial reports from the first time, all indications was that fire was completely out. There was no smoke, there was no steam seen. An hour and a half later, it's fully involved. So the investigator went back to have a discussion with the homeowner and get his statement. The only thing that I can say is there was a lot of different types of materials in that garage. It was very labor intensive. We utilized all of our auto personnel. We had to physically remove things out of the garage, spray it down. So we're thinking maybe some embers reignited. We're not 100% sure at this time.
One other question, Cardinal Bar. Have we got a resolution on that yet so we can get that thing tore down?
We do not, it's, the last that I heard was that the insurance company has gotten involved. And they are furthering their investigation into it. So until they're satisfied, I don't believe there's much that we can do.
Yeah, that's turning into an eyesore over there.
I agree 100%.
Yes, thank you.
Other questions for the administration? Hearing none. I will take a motion to go into executive session pursuant to ORC 121.22 G3, a conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action. Would somebody like to make that motion? Motion made by Mr. Bittner, second by Mrs. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore.
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. We're going to go into executive session. The only person being invited into executive session at this point is the law director.
We'll see what they come up with.
All right, I call this meeting back to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong.
Aye.
Mr. Lunder.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
All right, board committee commission reports, planning and zoning committee.
Planning and Zoning Commission met on February 3rd at 6 p.m. In attendance were commission members Sweeney, Leonard, Weisenberger, and Wong, along with Mayor Eva and Mr. Snyder. Absent was commission member Kason, and also present at the meeting were Council President Johnson and resident Robert Yurchik and Kristen Nichols. 2024 Vice Chair Mr. Sweeney was sworn in for another 3-year term and proceeded to preside over the meeting given Ms. Kason's absence. The group also voted to postpone election of 2025 officers to the next meeting. During the annual review of commission rules, some updates and modifications were discussed. A legal question was raised as to whether this body may allow any virtual participation, including qualification for quorum and voting privileges by its members under ORC now, and whether that will change when House Bill 257 goes into effect on April 8th. Discussion of commission rules modifications will continue at the next meeting. In other business, the request for a fence variance at 7957 Lakeshore Boulevard that would have included 4-foot-high construction within the front setback area of this corner property was unanimously denied by the commission. The fire chief's request that any fence material be located at least 3 feet from the corner hydrant was also noted. Finally, 2025-0-01 regarding changes to the zoning code to allow and define adult use cannabis sales in the city was reviewed by the commission and is returned to council with the unanimous recommendation to proceed with it as written. The meeting adjourned at 7:45 p.m. with the next regularly scheduled commission meeting for Monday, March 3rd at 6 p.m. That concludes my report.
Okay, the zoning committee.
The zoning committee met on February 4th at 6:30 p.m. Present were committee members Wong, Lunder, and Gray, as well as Council President Johnson, Mr. Snyder, and members of the public, Paul Morris and Jason Morris. The committee reviewed the evolution of Chapter 893 on residential CRA tax abatement eligibility and also reviewed the relevant ORC on what can be included in the local ordinance. Currently, our law states that remodeling of existing dwellings is eligible, but no residential new construction qualifies. The committee wishes to define and restrict eligible residential new construction to include non-dwelling outbuildings. We also wish to define dwelling under this chapter to encompass any structure on a qualifying residential property so that remodeling of existing outbuildings is included in the program. Our law director has been consulted and the responses will be discussed at the next committee meeting. This committee also agreed on revisions to 1280.05 parking services to improve the standards for driveway construction and replacement materials throughout our neighborhoods. The draft has been forwarded to the administration for review and input. Those responses will be discussed at the next committee meeting. The committee also continued evaluation of revisions to 1242.03 conditional use permits that would add due process for the appeals procedure and codify the standards by which the Planning and Zoning Commission reviews applications and issues permits. A second draft will be reviewed at the next meeting. And finally, work to simplify and shorten the proposed short-term rental regulation has been moved to this group from the ordinance committee. Revision updates will be presented at our next committee meeting. The meeting was adjourned at 7:30 p.m. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other board committees or commissions that met? Hearing none, we will now move to open to the public to speak. If you'd like to speak, please come to the lectern and state your name and address for the record. Again, this is an opportunity to speak to council. It isn't a back and forth with council.
Okay, that's some net notes. Good evening. My name is Paul Morris from 7592 Pinehurst Drive. I noticed on tonight's legislation, you have 2025-R-09. And it looks to be to buy a fire truck for the fire department. Unless the laws have changed, for something this expensive, it used to have to go out to bids. I want to know, did it go out to bid? Or are we just buying a truck and bypassing the law?
And if so, if they look into bonds to finance this thing, or are we just doing something else? Or you got it all works? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll close this portion, open the public speak. Legislation before council. Ordinance number 2024-0-20, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2024-0-20, second reading, referred to zoning committee. An ordinance amending the zoning code by creating new chapter 1270 of the codified ordinances for the regulation of short-term rentals in the city and declaring an emergency.
It's still in the zoning committee, is that correct?
It is. I have a question, a procedure.
Mhm.
I understand this is the ordinance as written and it's been on the agenda for some time. The proposal in question has undergone several revisions and is still undergoing revisions. Is there any use to keeping it on the agenda through all of this, or maybe table, remove it and allow it to come back in its updated form when it's ready?
It could be withdrawn.
I just don't see the purpose in keeping it as is. It's not, I mean, it's not gonna look anything like the original ordinance, so. I mean, does that make sense?
Is there a motion to withdraw ordinance number 2024-0-20?
I so move.
Motion made by Ms. Wong, second by Mr. Bittner. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bittner?
Aye.
Ms. Wong?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. It is now withdrawn. Bring it back in a different form. Ordinance number 2024-0-22, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2024-0-22, second reading, referred to ordinance committee, and ordinance amending codified ordinances 452.01, 452.17, and 452.99, and repealing ordinances 452.02 and 452.03 relating to parking in the street.
So this is still in the ordinance committee, is that correct?
It is as well, and although this one is closer along than the one before it, the format will eventually come back in, it looks absolutely nothing like this version, which sort of makes this ordinance as written. It's more than an amendment. It's pretty much obsolete. This is another one that, I mean, does that sound
If
reasonable?
it's not the same, we've changed it.
I would motion to withdraw this one as well.
Motion made by Ms. Wong, second by Mr. Bittner, withdraw the ordinance 2024-0-22. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson? Aye. Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bittner?
Aye.
Ms. Wong?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Okay, 2025-0-01, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-01, referred to Planning and Zoning Commission. An ordinance amending codified ordinances 1240.02, 1258.002, and creating a new section 1258.021 in order to regulate cannabis dispensaries in the city.
Okay, and this has come back from planning and zoning with their approval. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, this will go on to second reading. Anybody have any discussion on this while we're here? Or then, okay, it's gonna go on to second reading. The public hearing is scheduled in March. Ordinance number 2025-0-02, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-02, amended January 14th, 2025, re-amended January 28th, 2025. An ordinance enacting chapter 882 cannabis marijuana licensure.
Any discussion on this one? Go on to second reading then, as it is. Ordinance number 2025-0-03, if you could please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-03, an ordinance extending the existing 3-month moratorium on the acceptance and processing of applications for zoning and or occupancy permit approvals for cannabis operations within the city and the issuance of such approvals in the city of Mentor-on-the-Lake for a period of 2 months and declaring it an emergency.
Yeah, as you know, the moratorium expires at the end of the month, which is before the public hearing. required for 2025-0-01.
Motion to suspend. Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. Thompson to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
No.
Ms. Long,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion for passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Lunder. Was that Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Motion second by Mrs. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
No.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. That is passed. Resolution number 2025-R-08, if you could please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025-R-08, a resolution confirming the appointment of Nina Merzen to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council.
This is one of council's appointments.
Motion to suspend.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore,
Second.
second by Mr. Lunder to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Lunder, second by Ms. Wong for passage. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. It is passed. Just a reminder, if anybody knows anyone else, we have a second appointment to that council as well, so. Resolution number 2025-R-09, you can please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025-R-09. A resolution authorizing the mayor and or the city administrator to enter into a contract with Axes and Irons Vehicle Alliance Group to acquire a 2024 Fotis Spartan FB 94 1,000 gallon water, 1,500 Hale Q Max GPM, including all required standard fire upgrades, fire truck, and declaring an emergency.
All right, at this point, I will allow the fire chief to speak on behalf of this. Give us some background. Then we'll do questions.
Every member of council did receive my email. There was background on our thought process and the reasons why with, of course, the biggest reason of the truck that we are trying to replace is going to be 32 years old this year. We have maintenance concerns. Last year, we spent $32,000. The parts had to be made specifically for the truck because they're not available anymore due to the age of the truck. There are other safety concerns with the truck as the truck ages. You know, nobody can predict a breakdown. We just aren't sure if this truck's gonna break down when we're responding to an emergency to help our public. At this time, I'd like to just introduce the committee that put the tremendous amount of work together, spec'ing this truck out. Captain Corby, firefighter Clemens, and firefighter Tennyson. They did the majority of the legwork. They're here. If there is a question that I'm not 100% sure, they're gonna try to answer it for us too. And then the other, in my email, I specifically state NFPA 1901 standard. They state that any frontline engine should be first out for the first 15 years and then move to reserve status for the last 5. And they also recommend replacing a truck after 25 years. Obviously, like I said, our truck's gonna be 32 years old this year. The fire department has always been fiscally responsible. We understand that vehicles and equipment are expensive. We do a great job in maintaining these items in order to extend their service life. However, it's important that our personnel have the vehicles and equipment they need to properly perform their jobs to the best of their ability in order to provide the best service to our residents and keep them safe. And then the last thing I'd like to state is, I know the normal process of this. The only reason that we are asking for this to be passed tonight is because the sales rep has informed us of an $80,000 price increase in March. So if we can have a signed contract by February 14th and our funding in place by the end of February, that locks us into that 2024 price. If we wait, not only will we not get the truck that we looked at, but obviously the price will increase by $80,000. So if I can answer any questions.
Sure, I'll start off the questions. When did you make a decision to start looking at getting a new truck?
We started looking, if you remember my 5-year plan that I put together several years ago, in that plan, the year 2025 was scheduled to replace that truck. We started looking at it when I started putting my 2025 budget together, and submitted my initial budget to the administrative director. Like I said, the plan was to follow the normal process. Obviously, council follows the 3 readings. But like I said, the only reason we're looking for passage tonight is to save the taxpayers $80,000.
Well, the normal process is normally that it goes through the appropriations process, which we haven't even seen the appropriations yet for the year. It's really a struggle for me personally to look at a large expenditure without having the larger picture of what our expenditures are throughout the city. And so I'm a bit taken aback by the fact that we're doing this, and you're saying that, the normal process, but the normal process is a bidding process, as Mr. Morris has indicated, and has always been a bit of the process, but we're not following that in this case. It seems like we got a demo model, I'm assuming I understand it, at some point you had a demo model here.
Yes,
And is that the one that we're looking to buy?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
so that seems like a very different process than what would normally be considered traditional.
Well, as far as this truck is under state bid pricing, which all municipalities with emergency vehicles are under the state bid processing. So that eliminates the bid process. That's the point of the state bidding, so that the state controls, and the pricing of these trucks is very similar regardless. Whether between the different manufacturers. I understand your point, as we have not had our budget meeting yet. The fire department is just simply trying to save the taxpayers $80,000.
Mrs. Moore.
I have 2 questions. Number 1, I am in support of our city having good equipment, sound equipment, solid equipment that is in the best interest of our residents. But we also took an oath to make sound financial decisions and do things for the best interest of the residents as well. My first question is, the truck that you're replacing has some type of ladder apparatus on it to get high up.
Right.
The one that you presented to us does not have such an apparatus. I know we have 3-story, 4-story apartment buildings in the area. Andrew's Place, which is either 4 or 5 stories, which has people who have mobility problems, other types of physical conditions that would probably prevent them from, using stairs and things like that in an emergency. We would be left without that type of equipment. So I want to know, what was the thinking behind choosing a truck without such a device? And also, you came to us last year in a meeting and said you were looking for more money. Why didn't you put this fire truck out there then? We could have been a year ahead of this. I know there's a wait time. But if we needed a fire truck that bad, because this fire truck is so old, and not repairable, and parts have to be made, and we're worried to take it out to a fire, why didn't we have this conversation a year ago and we would have been a year ahead of this?
So as far as the ladder is concerned, our ladder doesn't reach the top of Andrews Place Apartments because it's only a 50-foot ladder.
Okay.
To your point, the mobility issues, our truck is strictly a ladder. It's not a platform. The residents at Andrews Place would not be able to climb down that ladder. So, when we did our cost benefit analysis on whether we replaced with an addition or with a new ladder, the discussion was the function is not utilized enough to justify the additional cost that a ladder is gonna cost the city, which is anywhere between 1.5 and 1.7 million dollars, and the additional wait time of 2 to 3 years to build. To your point of last year, I asked for an increase in the millage for operating expenses, not necessarily for equipment. So hindsight being 2020, I guess I should have, that's on me.
This is a heavy decision, because I think we have to, while you say cost benefit analysis and that, I understand that, but we also have to think about our residents too.
Right. And
And I wish we would have had maybe some other options to pick from, or a little bit more better detail about some of those options right now tonight, so that we could really think and make a good decision based on what those costs and options are for our residents.
well, the committee that worked on this has folders for each member of council with all of the information in it. It has the comparables. Also to your point of Andrews Place, we do have an aerial truck that's 100-foot aerial truck that comes to every single one of our fires from Menor, which is only a couple of minutes down the road. So we would be able to utilize their aerial in those cases.
It would have been nice to have this before tonight.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's like, here's a whole bunch of information on the night we supposed to make a decision. That's
Yeah.
not well planned there. I mean, especially since you got your estimate before our last council meeting. It seems like this could have come earlier.
Well, we were working on financing. We wanted to make sure that we had that part of it for you as well.
But the moment you guys decided you were going to look at getting a vehicle, it would have been time to bring council in, because again, this is a large ticket item and council needs to be able to deliberate and make rational decisions. We don't tend to work under okay, quick, we need to pass this immediately. That doesn't fly very well with us in general.
Again, and that was not my intention.
I understand that, and I understand that this could save us $80,000. But it's a very large cost. And I'm not sure I'm ready to do that without the full financial picture that we normally would have had by now, but, okay. Yes, Mr. Lunder, your turn.
You've done this before with the squads. Yeah, we got 2 new squads. There were no 3 bids on either one of those squads. Again, they were demos. Next thing I know, we're buying squads. Following procedure here, I'm against a pumper. I'd like to see a ladder come in. I looked at Euclid's ladder. They got last year. I don't know the exact price, but it's one between 1.5 and 1.7. They don't make the 50-foot ladders anymore. They're making 75-foot ladders. SLR 75 is the supplement number that Euclid got, which is gonna be sufficient for the new construction we got going on. We got $1 million construction going on. And I'm not gonna count on men are coming here in time if something happens over there. We seen what happened to the Cardinal down here, it was through the roof. And by the time everybody got set up over there, that building was gone. It's probably gone before you got there, I agree with that. But now we got these 32 or 34 buildings, units going up over there. And I'm not gonna recommend taking a pumper. I saw that pumper backing in the garage that day when I drove by to talk to Jack. And Jacqueline, I walked into her and I asked her, I said, oh, we got a new pumper? She had no clue that that truck was even gonna be looked at.
Well, it's not her job to know, that's my job, I run the fire.
The problem is she's administration, she should know everything.
Why should she know when we're looking at a demo?
Well, here's the problem. She's the one, she's got the money.
I understand that, and I'm ready to approach her with, this is what the truck is gonna cost. I'll myself, what difference does it make to her if we're just simply looking at a truck?
It's like everybody's we're all blindsided here by what's happening. And I'm not gonna put up with going through demos and not going through bids and stuff like that. I recommend, no, we're not gonna buy it. I've got your 5-year plan in front of me. It says that you want to replace 2517, which is the heavy rescue. Estimated cost $500,000. You want to replace 2519, which is the ladder truck. Estimated cost at $1 million. I forego the heavy rescue. You got $1.5 million here that you can go and do the ladders with. And I'm just baffled that we're not following procedure. And the other thing I'm upset about is that we usually go with bonds on this too, like Mr. Moore said.
They have nothing to do with the financing of that.
You know, now we're paying 5.5% on interest, where bonds are around 3%.
I can read you, but
We'll skip over the finance part right now. Let's focus on the topic at hand here, which is the truck in general.
My recommendation is not to vote for it.
I do have a question about the finance part, because in the end, if it's gonna cost more to do it this way, then you're saving by doing the bond portion of 3%. What are we truly saving?
We'll get to the finance part. Let's focus on,
What kind of truck do we want?
right. If we're arguing over, do we want to, should we be having a ladder truck? Should we be having a pumper truck? You know, if we can't even make up that decision yet, then the finance part is mostly irrelevant.
So as far as the ladder truck,
Yes.
are we ISO?
We are,
What level?
or,
That's because of the truck? I mean, that plays.
that plays into it. But the aerial does not qualify as a ladder truck because it does not have enough ladders on it for ISO. So it's
Not in the fact.
it's not even in the factory, no. It counts as a pumper for us.
And do we have your cost benefit analysis?
You do not.
That would have been helpful as well.
I will say to the 3 firemen back there who were on the team for selecting this, I know this took a lot of time and work to do. I really, really do. I wish we knew that we were looking at this so that we could have had this conversation in a meeting and not here in the middle of a council meeting. So by the time it got here, we could have just been like, yes, we knew this was coming. We know this is what we want. We know this is in the best interest of the residents. Let's make a decision and roll with it instead of sitting here tonight trying to find out all these very detailed questions and trying to figure out what's best for everybody.
I appreciate you. Thank you. May I speak?
Yes.
On behalf.
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Firefighter Tennyson, Winter Lake Fire Department. This little history, I've been a firefighter for 24 years. So been around the block. I've seen quite a few things. This isn't the first truck project that I've worked on. To go along with why we're in the position that we're at. Yes, the chief brought in a demo truck 3 weeks ago. TJ Saunders, the representative from Faust Brothers, brought the truck in, and I just had a general conversation with, I said, how much is the truck? What's the warranty? X, Y, Z, let's start getting our ducks in a row here. I said, just to be transparent with you, TJ, I have to get other pricing. If you look in the folder there, you will see that, we do have other pricing from Sutphin, AME, E1, amongst a few others. I do have emails with that pricing in there if you want verification from those. As you can see, the next closest price that we have is 107,000. Or I'm sorry, 105,000, that's from HME. Talking with TJ some more, he dropped the price from 624,000, 618,000. $6,000 may not seem like a lot to this truck, but he also confided to me that the price will increase $80-some thousand from March 1st. Okay, well, now we're in a time crunch. So again, we apologize for dropping this on you, but I looked at the two guys that I have here. I was like, well, we had time, we had months. Like our initial goal was to buy this in November, but then when they dropped this $8,000 on it, it's like, okay, let's throw a Hail Mary and hopefully, you know, we can spin it to council that we do need this truck. And then we had an email, was it yesterday, from TJ that we need to have this signed by February 14th. To answer your question about the ladder truck, Mr. Lunder, quite frankly, we do not have the manpower to operate a ladder truck safely. I understand that ladder is not always available, but with the last 4 fires that we've had in the city, ladder has shown up expeditiously with their ladder truck and have set up. But we do not have the manpower to operate a ladder truck safely. The chief was right in the fact that the current ladder truck that we do have will not reach the top of Andrews Place. Our residents cannot climb up and down that ladder, so we will need to get a bucket truck, a platform, whatever you may want to call it. Because we cannot, again, have people that are infirmed or, you know, ADA, climb up and down that ladder. It just did, the cost of the ladders are going up another $1 million on top of that right now, with the price going up every year, you know, 12-13%. I apologize for, you know, all of us dropping this on you. We did our homework. We tried to, you know, put together as best as we could to get together this packet for you. We have a picture of the fire truck. The third page in here is actually the fleet comparison by Lake County. The age of every fire truck, oldest and newest with all the departments in the county. You have the PA standard. It's the first packet. Then our comparable list with all the different pricing that we got from the different vendors. The 2024 pricing as it sits right now for the pumper, along with all the modifications and equipment that we would need with it, and then the pricing as it sits in March 1st. I hope I cleared some air for you, answered some more questions. I am available to answer any more than today.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So on your fleet age comparison between the different cities in Lake County, are any of them looking to buy a new fire truck this year?
Yes. So Concord currently is in the process of.
Are they going through the same place?
I do not know the exact company they're going with. Kirsten will be taking delivery of theirs within the next 3 months.
So they,
But
you have no one.
yeah, Mentor just got a Sutphin.
Well, I was just wondering if someone was also looking right now that we can say, hey, let's buddy up and see if we can get a better deal if we buy 2 trucks. That's my concern, but if they're already past that point,
Yes,
there's no sense.
that they're
Yeah.
in the build phase.
Well, even right now, you're looking at 2 years to get a new truck.
At least.
Which is why going with the demo is a benefit because you have it now. You don't have a 2-year bill. That is.
This is a quality truck as it sits right now.
This one,
I appreciate the work the fire department's done. The data you presented convinces me that we need a new truck based on age, safety, parts, and everything else. I think anyone who's owned anything mechanical in their lives can understand that. So I have no objection to agreeing to purchase a new truck if we need one. So I believe we do. However, it is more that I feel like I am being put into the situation, and I think you understand this, that I'm being strong-armed into authorizing this, and the very first time I'm seeing this, and at the very minimum, I will not until I've had time to review everything you've given me. So it would have saved you some time to have provided this ahead of time. But the other issue really is that prices are always going to go up. I'm also being put in the position of making it seem like I am amenable to making the taxpayers pay $80,000 more for a truck once the price goes up. But prices will always go up. Had this started 6 months ago, you may have been looking at a higher price than you would have had you done this in 2023, looking to 2024. So I do think there is an argument to be made for doing due diligence and figuring out what we need to figure out to authorize this purchase. And the biggest part of that is the budget. So I understand, I know you didn't want to talk about financing, but I don't know where the payments for the 10 years are coming from. Which fund? Is it general fund? Is it special, fund? Is it part of a levy? Is it something else? That is all budget material. So this really is within the larger context of it. To make these payments and to afford this large purchase, what other places in either that department or in other departments are going to be sacrificing something or giving something up for it? I mean, it doesn't all come from nowhere. But we absolutely cannot make that kind of a determination until we see the appropriations, and we haven't yet. So I know the timing is really close and it seems like that. But that to me just sort of seems like we ought to be more judicious about how we are spending the money and see it in the context of our 2025 appropriations. And really the time for that is now. So it's not like you were asking in February and this wasn't going to come out to November. I mean, I understand then an emergency would have to be made. But I really don't see where the emergency is. And if this is a sales pressure tactic, I don't know. I mean, did we ask them? We're this close to being able to have time to sort through this. Can we get an extension? Is there something else you can do for us? Or is there another demo truck and another company that can, give us a price that will be good until we're through our appropriations?
So the pricing that I do have in here from the other companies are on the models that they do have available. A few of them, as you can see, the delivery time says 2 to 3 years. Those are the ones that do not have demos, unfortunately. This is comparing apple to apple, so 1,000-gallon per minute truck, or 1,000-gallon truck with the 4-person cab. We just wanted to keep it simple, apples to apples type thing. It's like, you're not going to compare a Pinto with a cab.
Right. No, that is completely justified. I think my biggest point of discomfort right now is feeling like I have a duty to give everything due diligence, and I have not been provided the information to do so, not from the fire department, from the bigger picture. Thank you.
Mr. Craig.
Yes, so when this came up, my mind went racing, chief. Last year, my first year on council, wasn't. Renaissance, you said that you had this in your budget, planned 5 years. How many FEMA accounts did you try for, grants?
We have applied for the assistance to firefighter grants for the last 3 years to replace this truck with being unsuccessful all 3 years. So we have made several attempts to get a different type of funding through the AFG grants, and just have been unsuccessful in securing such grant that would help pay for a new truck.
Now contractually, the demographics you just gave us, what is the resale value drop off once you take possession of it? And average hours or mileage you put on a truck? At this point, time restraints, demos, the ideology, you're gonna buy a 6-seater truck, and as your email stated, 3 people are gonna sit in anyways. 4-seater, it's about 400,000. You can buy a used one for about 300,000 if you want to stick with the bumper. I would rather see an aerial truck. Have you looked at a used one for your standards? If only 3 is going to sit in the truck anyways, why are we going to spend excess money to rip out seats, make more compartments, and why do we have to buy new tools for the truck? Because that's just common I'm not been through the process of buying equipment.
Yeah, so it is common to upgrade tools and equipment when you do purchase a new truck. Like I stated in my email, the majority of our tools on that truck are as old as the truck itself, so. Valves leak from use. So, yeah, it's standard to replace and upgrade.
And I mean, in my opinion, I don't think used would be a good idea because I don't want somebody else's headache because it's used for a reason.
But if it's a demo, they're selling us a demo.
Right, but you said used though.
The demo compared to used, the demo has like maybe 1,000 miles on it from showing it. Whereas the used has, 100,000 miles on it, depending on the use of the department. So a lot more can go wrong and you're going to be looking at way higher maintenance costs right off the get-go.
Yeah, 2024 right now, used for 400,000,
So,
300,000.
so ignoring price for a moment. Walk me through why specifically the Spartan versus the other models, the other manufacturers.
Mainly financial reasons. They were the most economical truck that that in the comparison.
So it's just financial, it's there.
But like I said.
Is there any benefits, with Spartan? Are they, easier to maintain? Are they easier to get parts for? Are there any other added benefits to one versus another?
Spartan has an excellent warranty.
10-year warranty bumper and
Powertrain, like 13.
yeah.
What was that? I'm sorry. Powertrain is 13. Okay.
And, the part that we're looking into, that highest online Cummins, great motor, Allison transmission, and a hill pump. All three of those combined, make a really good pump.
So most of the manufacturers, regardless, use the Allison transmission, a Detroit diesel engine, and the hail pumps. So that's standard across the industry. So it's just mainly price, the warranty on this. It just seems like that it would fit our needs at an excellent price point.
Anyone else right now? Questions?
So in my research with all the trucks and that, we're in the flight path of an airport. I keep seeing the reference of foam and other different type of suppressions. What does Currently's Mineral Lake have as suppression as relates to airplanes flying over our city?
We carry foam on our trucks.
So we're not gonna buy a truck that carries foam too?
Foam comes in 5-gallon buckets that you induct into the system and then it produces the foam through the line.
So these extra trucks have 300-gallon foam polymer capacity.
I'm sure that they paid $300,000 more for that option. This particular.
So we're carrying 5-gallon buckets right now.
Yeah.
Most of the
So
departments.
if an airplane falls down out of the sky,
The majority of the departments in Lake County all carry at least 2 5-gallon buckets of foam on their trucks. Mentor had a cap system, which you're talking about, compressed air foam system. It is no longer in service. They said they rot the foam that we used back then. It was very toxic and it just literally rotted the tanks and inner workings, like the rubber gaskets of.
We're talking about apparatuses,
Yeah, so,
concern, seeing the foam.
right, so Mentor Station 4, which is on one side of the airport, and Willoughby Station 2, they actually have a larger foam bank on site. And then Lubrizol is the counter foam bank. Actually, I have a foam truck.
So more, you got something?
I'm gonna turn to our administrative director and say, what's your plan to pay for it? We don't have the budget yet, so explain where we're paying for this from.
Like offer a lease option. So if it would be 10-year, it'll be $103,509.12 per year. The next 10 years, no penalty paid off early. If you wanted to next year,
They're having a hard time hearing you.
Thank you.
They offer a lease agreement, for, the 10-year plan, it's a little over $103,000 per year for 10 years. And you can pay it off early without any penalties. So I think that would be the best way to go. I know the perception that bonds are lower, but our bond was not 2%. Our bond was 5.66% interest.
Where are we gonna come up with $103,000 a year to make the payment?
And you have to use your resources.
That's not for me to decide. That's for you to tell me where you're coming up with the money from, so we can say we can afford this or not.
The question is it coming out of the fire department?
Yeah, do we know which fund it's coming out of?
Well, we have two, we could either take it out of the general fund or we could take it out of the fire department, one of their funds, or we could split it between two.
I guess this is where the whole problem is, without seeing the appropriations, we can't. You know, it's very hard for us to commit to a large ticket item without seeing those things and being able to say, okay, yes, we can afford this, we're good to go, or we're going to have to cut back here and, you know, we need this, but we're gonna have to cut this area here. And that's the challenge we're facing right now, because it's just, without that information, it's such a big part of this.
I don't want to approve this expenditure, and then when we get the appropriations and the budget, be like, oh, now we gotta lay somebody off, or, oh, now we can't get this, or now we can't do that,
It's
because
not that
Well,
bad.
but without it, we can't. see
without
where
it,
the
we
money's
can't
coming from.
say yes or no.
Where is it coming? How far away are you with finishing the appropriations?
I have a factor now. I already actually applied this to a specific fund. But we have money in the general fund if we wanted to switch it to the general fund. Like where we can, like, there's money to move around if we need to.
Right, but it also goes to, what are the other big ticket items that we haven't yet talked about? You know, it wasn't that long ago, you know, all of a sudden we were being sprung upon us, a new roof for, you know, City Hall, you know, we don't know the other big ticket items as well, and we have to weigh the pros and cons of everything in one holistic budget, rather than, you know, if we start keeping things, you know, piecemeal, like right now we have a fire truck, and then we also have, you know, pay raises, and we have this, and we have this, and we get piecemeal parts of things. We can't make rational decisions, and that's the challenge that I think we're facing right now.
Like the backhoe that we purchased last year, we're not buying anything we're not buying that anything that expensive this year. So we could, I mean, if you wanted to look at it like that.
But it's beyond even just this year. It's one of the reasons I always ask, what is our capital expenditure plans for the next 5 years? Because we're gonna be paying for this for the next 10. So I at least want to know the next 5. After that.
Here's my thought.
Mhm.
I understand what all of you are saying. We will have the appropriations meeting before the next council meeting being February 25th. We can sit down before the 25th and look at this. And potentially, we can go back to the manufacturer, the salesperson, because he's saying, well, I need an answer by the 14th, but you need financing in place by the end of the month. The end of the month being after our next council meeting. Potentially then, if we can hold off the salesperson, we can meet, look at the appropriations, everything will be in there. Here's everything that's gonna happen in 2025. These guys can go back to the salesperson and say, look, give me 10 more days. You know, give me 14 more days. And then we'll give you a decision. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
I
Reasonable.
mean, that way you'll have everything in right. Here's black and white what it's gonna be. If they can hold off the salesperson till the end of the month, then I think we can all make an intelligent decision.
Good. Any objection to anyone?
If the appropriations are done, are they ready to be sent to us?
No.
So. We're going to move this to second reading. Resolution number 2025-R-10, if you could please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025-R-10, a resolution approving the 2025 wage settlement agreement between the city of Mentor on the Lake and the Mentor on the Lake part-time firefighters, fully satisfying the 2025 wage reopener agreement under the current collective bargaining agreement and declaring an emergency.
Discussion, yes.
So this was an agreement between the bargaining unit and yourself.
Smart.
I'm gonna let it go to, I am in support of it going to second reading until we see the appropriations in the budget. I need to know that we can afford this.
I agree with Michelle.
I'm not against them having a raise. I know I know where they are on the scale, but I have to make sure that we can sustain this and where's the money coming from?
Okay, anybody else?
All I can tell you is we wouldn't have approved it.
Right.
Knowing that the money wasn't there. Yeah, I don't know if that helps you or not, but the money is there in order to do this.
I think that's what they do. They bargain on the behalf. We trust them to do this. I don't think we've ever, it's the agreement between the two. Like, I'm gonna make a motion to suspend the rule.
Is there any second?
I will second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Bittner, second by Mrs. Thompson to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore,
No.
Mrs. Thompson.
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
No.
Mr. Bittner.
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
No.
Mr. Lunder,
No.
Mr. Johnson.
No, the motion has failed. This will go on to second reading. All right. Now we have old business. Council rules. Do you want to leave it on old business for another meeting because this has gone on quite a long time?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move that on to old business again, and we'll continue to work by our current rules. New business. Does anybody have any new business tonight? I hope not. Hearing none, we'll move on to open to the public and speak. If you'd like to speak, please come to the lectern, state your name and address for the record. Again, this is your opportunity to speak to council, not a back and forth with council. Not everybody all at once, no pushing and shoving, please. Okay, we're gonna close this portion, open the public to speak. Announcements and settings and meetings. We have Parks and Rec, Thursday, February 13th, 2025, at 6:30 PM.
That has been canceled. We will not be meeting. They could not agree to have the forum and reschedule was out, so it's usually the next one.
Okay, so Parks and Rec was canceled for Thursday. Envision Steering Committee meeting, or Envision Steering meeting is Thursday, February 20th, 2025 at 7 PM. Public hearing on 2025-0-01 is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 at 7 PM. The next regular agenda meeting is February 20th, 2025 at 6 PM. Regular meeting of council is February 25th at 7 PM. Other meetings, I'm sure there's an ordinance one coming up sometime.
Start with the appropriations
Yep.
meeting only because that's the most important.
Sure, we can
Well-
start with the appropriations meeting.
I think we have to wait until we have the appropriations.
Well,
Yeah, but we send
send the meeting and we'll need them in time.
Well, I mean, I don't know when they're gonna be ready, so.
It takes a few days too, like, it takes me a few days.
Well, so we're looking at next week.
I mean, as late as possible before the 25th. I mean, it's either Monday, the 24th, or
We have the 18th, 19th, and 21st available for the room.
the 20th is not available.
That's the
Envision
agenda and
meeting.
envision meeting,
Oh,
so,
yeah, shoot.
yeah,
You said
Those are already
18,
out.
19, and 21.
Yep.
Envisions on the 20th, huh?
Yes. Today's agenda.
21,
21 is available.
What about Monday, the 24th?
24th might be too late.
That might be.
might be too late. What?
What if we want to make changes or?
Changes to the appropriations? Well, we are approving the budget at
Right.
that point, so we can make changes to the appropriations. We just need to be able to ask questions and go through the appropriations and discuss it.
As long as everyone has their questions that night, not the next day.
Well,
Well,
we should have a general sense of whether we can afford and whether
Fire
we're
truck.
good to go.
Yeah.
With the fire truck on the 24th, I think if that's reasonable to everyone, the 24th, the room is available.
Who is available?
I'm okay with that.
What time do we want to meet?
It has the potential to go long, so let's start early. 6:30.
Oh, no, I run an efficient budget meeting, don't you worry.
Let's go.
What time are we going?
6:30.
And whose
I
fault
can't
was
do
that?
I can't, yeah, I can't do earlier than 6:30.
Okay, 6:30.
All right, 6:30, Monday, February 24th, the appropriations meeting. Did I hear there's an ordinance committee
Yes.
meeting?
We'll go back to that track. We have the 18th, 19th, and the 21st still open.
18th.
Yeah, Tuesday works for me on the 18th as well.
Okay.
7 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay. And I would say since I'm new as onto that committee, if we can. You can share what you have.
I got it. I'm on it.
Thank you.
Well, zoning, any time for zoning?
What do you guys think about Tuesday, March 4th?
Yeah, good.
Time, 6:30? Is that okay? Okay, Tuesday, March 4th at 6:30 for zoning.
Okay. Anything else?
Second,
Motion made by Mr. Lunder, second by Mrs. Thompson for adjournment. Roll call, please. Roll call,
Mrs. Moore,
Hi.
Mrs. Thompson,
aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Bittner,
Aye.
Ms. Wong,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye, we are adjourned. Yeah.
Yeah. Jack.
Efficiently running the meeting here, you know.
That's no longer the meeting we're done.
No.
Time.
I need to go.
Definitely
It was not.
Because everybody lies to me. Yes, ma'am.